here's Paul standing there holding the coats while they stone Stephen. All the while, what is Paul doing? Approving of it. But what was his mentality? One of ignorance. He's thinking that he's serving the living God by engaging in this cruelty against Christians. And it wasn't until God knocked him off his donkey there on the Damascus road and said, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? That this fog of ignorance began to lift. There's also another factor, and we would call this ignorance. Ignorance due to changing standards. And I'm going to use another apostle, the Apostle Peter, for this one. In Acts 10, here we see in the book of Acts this time of transition. Now the center wall of petition, or of separation between the Jew and the Gentile has been knocked down through the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ. And the Jew and the Gentile, as Paul says, have become one. But Peter's still dealing with an old standard. He's still thinking by an old law. He's still thinking from the Mosaic dispensation, where there was the distinction between clean and unclean, between the Jew who was clean and the Gentiles whom they considered unclean. And God has to deal with that there on the rooftop of Simon the tanner's house. And how does he do it? He drops down this sheet with all these unclean animals. Says, rise, Peter, kill and eat. What does Peter say? Not so, Lord. Nothing unclean has touched these lips. Sheet goes up, comes down, it happens 3 times. And then what does God say? Peter, what I have called clean, do not call unclean. And then all of a sudden, the knock is at the door. God had been dealing with Cornelius, the Gentile. The angel had appeared and said, now you go get Simon Peter. Bring him here because he's got a message for you. But in order for Peter to convey that message, God had to deal with his ignorance. And we learned from the book of Galatians, Paul didn't really get over it in that moment. Because when the Judaizers come to town, what do we see Peter do? He stops eating with the Gentiles. He kind of distances himself. And what does Paul say? I had to rebuke him to his face because he was not straightway with the gospel.